Hello, today we're going to be talking about cellular transport. This is going to be just a general overview. We're going to get more in depth with the different types of transport as we go through the next couple of classes. So to start, let's just talk about what cellular transport is. And the basic definition is just that it's moving materials in and out of the cell. So this is going to happen through the cell membrane, right? You're going to bring things in through the cell membrane or let things out through the cell membrane. And how this movement happens is because of what's called a gradient. So this is when two nearby areas have different concentrations of something, of whatever it is that we're looking at. So if you look at this picture here, you'll notice that on this side, on the left side, you have a high concentration, right? There's a lot more little blue dots. So this has a high concentration, whereas as you go over to the right side, you have a low concentration of whatever it is that we're looking at, in this case, the blue dots. There's two types of transport, passive, which is what we're going to talk about now, and then active, which we'll talk about a little bit later. The big difference here is that passive transport is the movement through the cell membrane that does not require energy, so no energy needed to complete passive transport. So what moves in this type of transport? Well, really small things. So like oxygen, carbon dioxide, water, glucose, these are small molecules that can easily just pass through the cell membrane. And the way that it does this is because it moves with the gradient from high to low. So wherever there's a high concentration, it wants to move to equal out. And so passive transport works with that gradient from where there's a high concentration over to a low concentration. So if we were looking at water and you had a lot of water on the left-hand side, passive transport would move that water over to the right-hand side where there's less or a low concentration to equal out. You can think of this as a bike on a hill. When you're riding your bike and you get to the top of the hill, right, you're really excited because when you go down that hill, you don't need to pedal, you don't need to exert any energy, you don't need to do anything, right? You just need to let the bike follow the path it's going to take, which is just going down the hill, no energy needed. And that's exactly how passive transport works. No energy needed, and it moves from high to low. Examples of this is diffusion, osmosis, and facilitated diffusion, which we will get into way more in depth as the classes proceed. Now, the other type of transport that we sort of talked about at the beginning is active transport. This is sort of like the opposite of passive. So in this definition, the movement is still through the cell membrane, but now it does require energy. That's the big difference. Active needs energy, passive does not need energy. And for active transport, the reason why it needs energy is because it moves really large molecules like proteins and ions and other big things that don't easily fit through the cell membrane. This is basically the opposite of passive transport. So now it moves against the gradient and it's going to move from low to high. So in this case, you would take wherever you have a lower concentration of whatever it is that you're looking at, and with active transport, it's going to move into where there's a higher concentration. So it moves from low to high. So it moves against the gradient. Against the gradient. Similar to, again, when you're riding a bike, this time you're starting at the bottom of the hill. And now you have to put in a lot of energy to get up to the top of the hill. So again, you're starting from a low concentration and you're going up to the high concentration against the gradient, where you need to input energy to be able to achieve that goal. And some examples of this are endocytosis, exocytosis, and phagocytosis. Again, we will get more into this in the upcoming classes. Nice job, everyone. I'll see you in class.